Hello and welcome to this installment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathan Skinner and today we are looking at the carpet and flooring kit for the Austin Healey BN1 104 model. So this particular video combines a few products. You've got the carpet sets, then you've got the rear deck kit, which also includes the spare wheel cover, and then we've got some optional hardware items such as overmats. I'm going to be touching on the fixings and the felts, and then we've also got the battery box hold down straps just there as well. So we've got a few different kits all in the same video because you should consider getting them all at the same time as one another. This particular carpet set has been done in dark blue Karvel, and the rear deck has been done in dark blue Armacord with the vinyl being Austin Healey Blue. So effectively the materials used in this video are akin to the factory spec, i.e. what most cars left the factory in. So generally speaking, that era of production, the Healey factory, they would have been using Karvel carpets. For the later models, they started introducing wool, so around the sort of BJ8 era of production. But for the majority of the early cars, they used Karvel. Same again on the rear deck area. Rear deck area, they used Armacord, which I'll detail very shortly. So this is, should we say, the OEM specification in terms of the materials. Dark blue was also an original colour for the Healey, so in terms of the colour spectrum, this is also factory original. It's worth noting at this stage that the vinyl that we've used, Austin Healey Blue, we do actually have two versions of a blue that originally Healey used in the production line. We've got Austin Healey Blue, which is this colour, and then we've got dark blue, which is even darker. Both are original, depending on who you ask, so worth getting physical samples from us, and certainly check out our materials and colours library. On that note, it's definitely worth checking out the other videos on my YouTube channel. So at the end of this video, there will be links to other useful videos for your 104 BN1 restoration, so be sure to check those out. But obviously do check out the overall channel and videos related to your restoration, because there's lots of videos on there already and will continue to get uploaded. It's worth noting that obviously I've done combo videos such as this one where we're combining different elements of kits together in the same video, but I've also done individual videos for certain parts which may give a bit more detail on that specific part, whereas these are a bit more of an overview. But it is certainly worth checking out the related video that will be linked at the end of this one for the boot trunk area, because as it's a flooring item, although separated from the main cockpit cabin, you should consider getting it at the same time as certainly the rear deck kit, because it does actually sort of flow into the boot trunk area via where the spare wheel comes through. So do bear that in mind and do check out the video at the end of this one. But let's dive on into this. I'll move my way forward and we can start with the carpet set. Now, effectively, the carpet set is all of the pieces in the screen at the moment, apart from these parts here, which are the rear floors, but they are actually part of the rear deck kit because they are made from Armacord as standard, not carpet. So do bear that in mind. But yeah, the carpet set is everything in the screen right now, minus the rear floors, which are part of the rear deck kit. And what we've got, like I say, it's dark blue Karvel. So Karvel is the original material used by Healey during this era of production. And it's a ribbed carpet. You can see the kind of rib going from left to right on these ones here. And it's got a Hessian backing on it. Now, when it comes to carpets, we can offer three versions, or rather three qualities of carpet for Healeys. We've got at the low end, budget end of things, you've got nylon. Then original OEM spec, factory spec is this Karvel. Then towards the top tier restoration side of things, you've got the premium wool version. Now, when it comes to Karvel, it's very limited in colours. You've basically got black, dark blue, red and grey. When it comes to wool, you've got a really wide spectrum of colours to the point where I think in the carpets, for example, for red, we have in wool rather, for red, we have 4 different shades of reds. A lot of other companies out there only offer one shade, whereas we like to go to the extra lengths of making sure the shading on the carpets is to your liking and your specific restoration. But so wool is generally what we recommend if you're looking for a premium restoration, but of course Karvel is for those looking for a more authentic as per factory spec. Nylon really it's for people working to a very, very tight budget. I wouldn't personally recommend a nylon. Although it's the most premium nylon automotive carpet available, it's chalk and cheese in quality compared to the other two. So do bear that in mind, and obviously do let us know if you want us to send samples. In fact, we do almost insist that we send you samples so that you can see shadings, but also the quality of the materials before you order. Anyway, let's start at the front of the car. So this is dark blue Karvel. It's actually for a left-hand drive car. Now, that would normally influence, say, the heel pads if you wanted to go to that level, but this customer has asked for heel pads on both sides. We do tend to do heel pads on both sides unless you instruct us otherwise. Some people opt to get the heel pad only on the driver's side, but do let us know. Like I say, as standard, we'll put it on both sides unless you instruct us. But then you have this cutaway here on the left-hand drive models for one of the pedals, so bear that in mind. That's the main difference between left-hand drive and right-hand drive, is these toe board carpets here. So let's start at the very front. You've obviously got the archway piece there, which goes directly on the firewall to the engine bay, over the gearbox, with the gearbox cut out there. You then have this underdash parcel tray carpet sat on the passenger side of the car. Now, we include the carpet as standard in the carpet set, but there's also a piece of sewn vinyl which we don't include as standard. So if you want to have the material, the sewn retrim kit for the actual surround of that, then do let us know, and we can obviously add that to the carpet set order. Most people tend to buy complete kits from us, in which case obviously the surround element of that is included as part of the trim panel kit, so just bear that in mind. But we do supply the carpet as standard in the carpet set, because we want to make sure that obviously all your carpet within your car matches up. So if you're just changing the color or the spec or something like that, then obviously you can just swap out the old carpet element of things there. So you get that piece there. You then get the toe boards here, so left hand toe board, right hand toe board, there and there. Obviously it's got the cutout for the pedals, so they're the bits effectively down here on the firewall element of things there. You get a pair of those, and then you get the sort of gearbox sides. So they're up on the vertical going forward there, and they have vinyl strips sewn to them, which become very apparent when you come to the actual trimming process. They actually trim to a separate part of the detachable elements just around here per se. Now, it's worth noting at this stage, I've probably gone a bit too far without mentioning this, binding. So edging of carpets. Now, originally from the factory, a lot of Healeys, if not all of them, left with no edging on carpets, or very, very small amounts of edging on carpets. And this was almost certainly down to two main reasons. One, cost-saving exercise. Two, they ran a very inconsistent production line, especially compared to modern day techniques. So they probably made the carpet slightly bigger than they needed to be, and custom fit each one individually to the car to make sure they all fit correctly. Now, we've embraced technology. We cut everything on a CNC machine, and we're confident that our patterns, that we've used pretty much the same patterns for 50 years, are correct. And what we've also tried to do with that element of things is make them as flexible, shall we say, as possible in terms of the idiosyncrasies of the inconsistent production lines from way back when. And a good way that we've done this is that we've standardized the sizes of some carpets, say the front floors, where we know that our patterns work very well, and we've edged around all of them. But then some of the gearbox sides, or the sill carpets here that have either no edging on them or very minimal edging on them, they are made wider or longer than they need to be, and that's done intentionally. So it allows you to tuck the unedged piece of carpet underneath the adjacent edge of a bound carpet. Therefore, you're getting a nice flow in between each carpet piece without any felt or bodywork showing underneath. And this is one of the tactics we've used very, very effectively for years to ensure that our carpet sets are the best fitting sets in the world. So do bear that in mind, because proof's in the pudding. They do work very well in that regard. And these toe boards here are a prime example of that. So you've got excess sort of down here, because that will end up getting tucked underneath the adjacent front floor elements of things. Same again on those pieces there, and even these pieces here, which have the vinyl sewn to the sort of top and the side edges of them, because that gets wrapped around the sort of structure of the gearbox elements of things. And then on the prop shaft there, it goes underneath the rear floor carpets there. So it's a good way of countering, should we say, the idiosyncrasies of the inconsistent production line. The sills are a good example as well because they have no binding on them. The top edge will tuck underneath the actual sill of the door, and the bottom edge there will bend down and go onto the front and rear floor carpets, thus again keeping it all in place, but it's meaning that there's no sort of bodywork or felt showing. So it is worth keeping in mind that when you start to fit the carpets, it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, and you might initially think, oh no, they're not big enough in certain areas, but that is misleading, shall we say. You need to get all of the pieces sort of interacting with one another before you can see it all come together, so do bear that in mind. But yeah, so our carpets, we do edge them. We edge them to effectively common sense specifications. So the concept being that no raw edge should really be on show when everything is said and done, because it's either underneath an adjacent panel or it's underneath an adjacent carpet edged piece. So do bear that in mind. If you do want us to supply it as original, inverted commas, i.e. with no edging on it, then just let us know. We'll do that for you, of course. In fact, we can offer kits. We do this for some of the premium restorers in the world that really want to make sure everything fits perfectly to that specific car. We can do kits where we actually make each carpet piece bigger all the way around, sort of a centimetre or 2 centimetres all the way around, meaning that you can literally custom fit it to the car at your end, and then we can just supply you with the edging raw so you can get that done at your end. So lots of different options there, but rest assured, we've supplied enough of these kits over almost 50 years of making the same kits over and over again that we are confident that ours are the best fitting carpets in the world. So do bear that in mind. And like I say, proof's in the pudding with that one, because cars with our interior kits in it have won and been placed in numerous awards ceremonies and shows all over the globe, but especially in concours competitions as well. We don't generally get too involved in too many sort of concours cars, but our kits are worthy of concours events and they have won and been placed in them. But I think a really true and telling factor of the quality and workmanship and our reputation is the fact that we actually have supplied several kits to judges of concours events. So I think that really is a good stamp of approval that we supply the best Healey kits in the world. So bear that in mind. Anyway, I digress. So edging, we do as standard, using common sense basically in the areas that we know it works, but we can supply without. We use leather cloth for our edging, not vinyl. Other companies out there do use vinyl. Please do check out our other video and blog post detailing the reasons why you should be using leather cloth for your edging and not vinyl. Just FYI, leather cloth is sometimes referred to as vinide or Rexin if you happen to be looking on websites or in books, etc. But we do use leather cloth as standard, and it creates a lovely neat finish all the way around. Vinyl tends to be a lot bigger, bulkier when it's sewn onto the edge of things for binding. It doesn't create as neat corners, and also can scuff a lot easier than leather cloth. It's worth noting that there are quite a few bits of vinyl sewn onto these, but they're actually big flaps. I've taped most of them round actually just to try and keep it tidy, but you can see they're sort of 2-inch flaps like that. Ignore the sellotape, that's just me trying to tuck it round the other way there. But that's the difference there between excuse me, leather cloth edging and vinyl. Vinyl, if you did it in edging, will be quite a bit bulkier like that, so you can see the difference there. I mean, I'm not putting that fully tight, so it's a bit misleading, but it's a good example. But the vinyl on these carpet pieces here are done in vinyl intentionally as almost an inch or so distance there, because they actually get wrapped round bodywork parts that actually come off the car, and you're effectively trimming those parts and then popping them back in the car. So that's the reason that they've got those on it. It's fairly unique to the BN1 models. But yeah, so you've got all of that sort of front area around the dash area there is included. You've then got the main gearbox tunnel carpet there. Now, it has the cutaway there for where the gear stick came out. It's quite unique setup on the BN1s. And then, like I say, it's got a bit of edging on it there, but actually the rest of it has vinyl strips sewn to it, because that effectively gets bent over the panel that comes out the car for the gearbox there, and you trim it round. We don't do anything in terms of the ashtray opening gap there, and that is intentional. You should do that during the fitment process to ensure that it's in the exact correct position for your car. We do also include vinyl for retrimming that area where the gear stick comes out of. You actually get, I think, 4 bits of pre-cut vinyls there for various areas of the car. For example, the 2 obvious ones are this gearbox opening there, and then also a piece of material that covers up the where the handbrake lever goes on the side of the gearbox there, just to cover up the bodywork side of things. So there's that piece there. You then get these sort of pieces here, which show the sort of rear gearbox and prop shaft area there. Again, that one has the vinyl strip sewn to it, so it gets actually trimmed to the panel that comes out the car there. That ends up getting covered by the centre cushion armrest, a saddle style one, so it's looped over like that. And then the rear prop shaft here is in carpet there. You've got the cutaway there for where the handbrake sits in. Now, for some cars, that was supplied in Armacord. For other ones, it's in carpet. So we supply it as standard in our carpet set in the whatever carpet you're going for. But if you do want to supply it in Armacord, then do let us know. That, of course, is not a problem at all. Let's move on to the sills, left and right. So the bits that obviously run all the way down the length of the car, underneath the doors. You can't really see them in those photos there. So you get the sills there, a pair of. Then obviously you've got the front floor carpets, left and right. Like I say, as standard, we edge all the way around, and we also supply as standard the heel pad on both front floors, unless you specifically ask us to only put it on one of them. They are the rubber heel pads with the Austin written in the middle of them, which was the original spec. You can just about make it out there. So that's as standard there, and they're your front floor carpet. So that effectively is the carpet set. I think I've covered all my details in that side of things, leaving remnants of the old book. Now we've got the rear deck kit and the spare wheel cover. So effectively the rear deck kit and spare wheel cover is all part of the same kit. It's done in dark blue Armacord. Armacord being a felt back PVC material. So it's got a Hessian felt backing to it effectively. Armacord is, like I say, it's a painted PVC plastic material. It has ribs going through it, very much akin to the Karvel. Now it's worth noting that the ribs change direction from front to back to left to right, depending on what piece it is. So for example, the rear floor carpets had them front to back like that, but then the battery shelf area went from side to side. So we supplied them as original specification based on original samples that we've got, and from feedback from, in fact, the Concours, one of the Concours judges that ordered the kit from us a few years ago. We ended up updating our patterns. So the rear deck kit includes obviously the rear floor carpets, which have the slots in them for the seat runners there. Then you had the lower bulkhead and battery shelf element, which bent over. You've got the cutaway there for obviously the gearbox tunnel at the back of the car. Let me just reposition and get the book. You then had effectively the battery lid. Sorry, ignore the sellotape again. That's just me trying to keep it neat, and it's backfired. You had the battery box cover there, which sat literally in the middle. There we go, perfect. So this is the rear shelf section here, which bent down onto the lower bulkhead. And then this is the battery box lid, which is this piece here, which has the vinyl sewn to it, which you then wrapped around the actual lid itself and trimmed. Then you had a piece of material there which actually sat inside that area there. Then you've got the spare wheel cover, which is a pre-sewn kit in vinyl, which actually incorporates obviously the spare wheel cover, but then you have the elements of the bit of Armacord that is then attached to and sewn to, which kind of goes into the boot trunk area of the car, as you can see there. So that's the boot trunk, and that's the spare wheel there. So that's why we do recommend considering getting the boot trunk kit at the same time as the rear deck kit, because it does semi-crossover into the boot trunk area there. So you have that piece there, which again, it's all pre-sewn, and the piping is also done in leather cloth as per original specification. And then you have this sort of rear bulkhead section here, which has the opening obviously for the spare wheel cover. So it's this piece here effectively that wrapped round, and that semi-bent round there and there, and that tied into the wheel arch covers, which are those sort of sewn bits just to the back of where the B-post quarter panels are. And they're those pieces here, which are vinyl. We can do them in leather if you prefer, but vinyl as per original spec. They are piped. The piping disappears at the front there, and you have flaps, and then you have an excess here, which actually is used during a trimming process to get the tension on it, which you then cut away or tuck behind this piece here. This piece here does have the sewn vinyl onto the top element there, which attaches obviously the bodywork of the car there. So that's effectively the rear deck kit. Now, it's worth noting a few things when we're talking about this area, and it's mainly related to this piece here and this piece here, especially this piece here. And again, it's down to the inconsistencies on the car, but we've sort of countered that with the design process that we've used for many years. You might find that that actually fits beautifully from left to right on some cars, but other cars you'll find it's a bit too wide. But then all you're effectively doing is actually bending it round onto the B-post quarter panels, and then part of that will sit underneath the B-post quarter panels. And again, it's the same concept with the carpets there. It means that you end up with a sort of flawless gapless design between all pieces, and that's why we've done it like that. So most cars you'll find it will fit absolutely fine, but the concept being that some cars you may have to just tuck that behind, but it creates a lovely neat finish when the quarter panel's sat on top of it, so do bear that in mind. Same concept with this piece here. It does bend round, and you might lose some of it underneath the adjacent wheel arches and quarter panels on that element there, so do bear that in mind. Lastly, on the sort of rear deck area, we also supply these battery box leather straps here. So they're leather. They have the fixing put in them. They're made too long because most of it will get lost during the fitment process. We give you plenty to play with. And they actually sort of went there and there. I think we've got, there we are. It's the BN6, BN7, but the concept's exactly the same there. So that's those pieces there. So we do sell those. They are sold separately to the rear deck kit. So that's the rear deck and spare wheel cover kit. So pretty good summary there of all the pieces we've been talking about. Last but not least, you've got the hardware elements of things. Again, these are sold separately. So you want to obviously be considering the carpet fixing kit, which is a 4-piece, well, 4 different fixings effectively. So this gets pot riveted onto the bodywork of the car using the pot rivet there. Then this gets pressed through the face of the carpet. That's on the back of it, and it gets bent round, and effectively that means you'll have one of these on the underside of the carpet and one of these on the car, and then they clip into place there. So we do recommend using the carpet fixing kit as per original specification, and we're more than happy to help you with the setup of those in terms of how it all works. Generally speaking, on carpet sets, there are some items in the carpet set you do need to glue, but other ones we don't really recommend gluing, apart from for very basic positioning and anchoring. The rest of the time you should be reliant on fixings and using the weight of the carpet in between shared pieces. So I'm more than happy to go over that with you or your professional trimmer. There's a general trend, should we say, in this industry, especially in the 90s, of just going gung-ho on gluing carpets in place, and it makes things very messy. So that's not what we recommend. So do talk to us about that. Aside of the fixings, we've also got the felt kit. We supply at this point in time just the natural jute felt kit, which is felt, and it's got this sort of black coating on the top side, so that faces up towards the sky when it's in the car. Now, obviously, the common question is, do I need the felt kit if I'm using the modern day Dynamat or Dodo matting? Lots of different versions available. And the question is not, unfortunately, a straightforward yes or no. It does depend on the thickness of the modern day stuff. So what you've got to consider is that when these carpets were templated and designed, they were templated and designed with a certain thickness underneath them to get them to fit around certain areas, especially in that sort of under dash gearbox area sort of thing. So we recommend anywhere between 5 and 10 millimeters underneath the carpet to get the best fit. So with some of the modern day Dynamats stuff, it goes extremely thin when it's in the car. I've got some in my car, and it goes down to basically nothing when everything's said and done. So in those sort of instances, we do recommend that you use one of our felt kits as well, for 2 reasons. 1, the overall positioning and height within them is the crucial factor, but then 2, it also gives a nice soft underfoot feel rather, compared to just going straight effectively onto the bodywork. Don't be fooled though, this isn't going to do much in terms of heat and sound compared to modern day stuff. I'm never going to claim that it does, but it is crucial in terms of the positioning of the parts if you've got a very thin version of the modern day ones. At this point in time, we don't offer modern day pre-cut kits, but it is on our radar to do them. So do keep an eye out for that, as we do plan to start offering those as well. So that's the underfelt kit, sold separately to the carpet set, but very much recommended. And finally, you've got the overmats. Overmats are effectively just overmats for the front floor carpets so that you don't get them muddy, etc., or wet. And they are rubber and they have the grippy backing to them. They're sold as a pair and they have the Austin Healey logo in the middle of them there. They're made universal for all the Healeys. Just bear that in mind. So again, they are sold separately, but we do highly recommend them as a nice finishing touch to things. So that is the overview of effectively the main cabin area, floors and rear deck area. So just a quick summary. You've got the carpet set. You've got 3 options for carpet: nylon, Karvel or wool, in lots of different colours depending on which material you go for. We edge our carpets to common sense spec, basically, not necessarily original, because Healey's left without edging on most of their carpets in the car, but we do it using common sense and to good effect for using 50 years worth of experience effectively. We use level cloth for the edging, not vinyl, bear that in mind. You've then got the heel pad element of things. Standardly we'll include them on both front floors unless you tell us otherwise. Then you've got the rear deck kit, which is made out of Armacord originally from the factory, but we can offer in carpet if you prefer. So again, nylon, Karvel or wool. The rear deck kit also includes a spare wheel cover and wheel arches, which are normally done in vinyl, but we can offer leather if you prefer on that one. And then optional sort of hardware items, you've got the overmats there in rubber, you've got the underfelt soundproofing kit, and you've got the carpet fixing kits. And then also, sorry, just back to the rear deck area of things, you've got the battery box straps there in leather, which again are sold separately. So that's kind of the overview there, but I do recommend you check out the links at the end of this video to other related videos. I've done one showing the boot trunk kit, which is obviously related, but then we've got versions of this carpet set and rear deck kit in the upgrade wool version of things, so be sure to check those out. Either way, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts out there. And I look forward to hearing from you if you have a 104 BN1 that you're restoring. In the meantime, check out any of our other videos and keep an eye out for any new ones. Thank you very much.